What if one forgotten book could completely change the direction of your life? A few years ago, Ethan was lost, unmotivated, and stuck in the same routine every day. He had dreams, but no action. Then one rainy afternoon, he discovered an old book hidden inside his grandfather's cabin. At first, it looked like just another dusty book, but one sentence inside changed everything. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. Those words inspired Ethan to make one small change, then another, then another. Years later, he transformed his career, built confidence, achieved success, and inspired thousands of people around the world. The amazing part, it wasn't the book that changed his life. It was the action he took after reading it. Now tell me in the comments, which book, quote, or lesson has had the biggest impact on your life? I read every comment, and your answer might inspire someone else. If this story motivated you, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more life-changing success stories, self-improvement lessons, personal growth content, and powerful motivation that can help transform your life. Remember, one idea can change your thinking. One decision can change your future. Chapter 1, A Life Going Nowhere. In the busy city of Denver, Colorado, lived a 23-year-old young man named Ethan Carter. From the outside, his life looked normal. He had a small apartment, a part-time job, and plenty of free time. But deep inside, Ethan felt completely lost. Every morning followed the same routine. He would wake up late, grab his phone, and spend hours scrolling through social media. He watched videos about successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and influencers, wondering how they had achieved so much while his own life seemed stuck in place. Ethan had always dreamed of doing something meaningful. He wanted financial freedom, confidence, and a life he could be proud of. Yet whenever an opportunity appeared, he found excuses to delay taking action. I'll start next week. I'll do it when I have more time, maybe someday. Those words had become a habit. As months turned into years, Ethan watched his former classmates build careers, start businesses, and achieve goals they once talked about together. Every success story he saw online made him feel further behind. One cold autumn evening, after another unproductive day, Ethan stood in front of the bathroom mirror and stared at his reflection. The tired eyes looking back at him seemed unfamiliar. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he quietly asked himself a question he had avoided for years. If nothing changes, where will I be 5 years from now? The answer frightened him. For the first time, Ethan realized that his biggest problem wasn't a lack of talent or opportunity. It was the directionless life he had chosen to accept. And although he didn't know it yet, a chance discovery was about to change everything. Chapter 2, The Forgotten Book. A few days after that uncomfortable moment in front of the mirror, Ethan received a phone call from his grandmother. "Ethan, could you help me clean out your grandfather's old cabin this weekend?" she asked. The cabin was located near Pine Creek, a quiet area surrounded by forests and mountains just outside the city. Ethan hadn't visited the place in years. After his grandfather passed away, the cabin had remained untouched, filled with old memories and forgotten belongings. With no real plans for the weekend, Ethan agreed. On Saturday morning, he drove to Pine Creek under a grey autumn sky. The winding roads, tall pine trees, and crisp mountain air felt refreshing compared to the noise of the city. When he arrived, the cabin looked exactly as he remembered. Weathered wooden walls, a stone fireplace, an old porch overlooking the forest. As Ethan stepped inside, memories flooded back. His grandfather had always loved books. Shelves filled nearly every room, thousands of pages containing stories, ideas, and lessons collected over a lifetime. For hours, Ethan sorted through boxes, stacked old newspapers, and cleaned dusty furniture. Most of the items seemed ordinary. Then, while organizing a storage room in the attic, he noticed a small wooden chest tucked away in a dark corner. Curious, he opened it. Inside were several notebooks, photographs, and a single worn-out book covered in dust. The cover was faded, but he could still read the title, The Power of Daily Growth. The book looked old. Its pages were yellowed with age. Several corners were folded, Handwritten notes filled the margins. It was obvious that someone had read it many times. Ethan almost placed it back into the chest. After all, it was just another old book. But something made him pause. Perhaps it was the fact that it had belonged to his grandfather. Or perhaps it was the title itself. At that moment, Ethan couldn't explain why. He simply slipped the book into his backpack and continued cleaning. Later that evening, after returning to his apartment in Denver, he tossed the backpack onto the couch and forgot about it. Hours passed. Night fell. Rain tapped softly against the windows. Unable to sleep, Ethan remembered the book. He pulled it out and sat down in his favorite chair. The cover felt worn beneath his fingers. For a moment, he considered putting it aside. Instead, he opened to the first page. Written neatly in blue ink was a message from his grandfather. Open quote, "To whoever reads this, your life can change faster than you think, but first, you must change yourself." Close quote. Ethan stared at the sentence. A strange feeling washed over him. It felt as though his grandfather was speaking directly to him. He turned the page, then another and another. Without realizing it, Ethan became completely absorbed. Outside, the rain continued falling. Inside, something unexpected had begun. A simple book was about to challenge everything he believed about success, failure, and the future. And the first lesson would hit him harder than he could ever imagine. Chapter 3. The Sentence That Changed Everything. Ethan planned to read only a few pages before going to bed. Instead, he found himself unable to stop. The book didn't contain complicated theories or difficult language. Its ideas were simple, direct, and surprisingly powerful. Every chapter seemed to describe the exact problems he had been facing for years. Then he reached a page that stopped him completely. At the top of the page, written in bold letters, was a single sentence. Open quote, "Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow." Close quote. Ethan stared at the words. The sentence seemed almost too simple. Yet the more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable it became. For years he had been living in the future. He was always planning, always dreaming, always promising himself that someday he would change. Someday he would exercise. Someday he would start learning new skills. Someday he would apply for better jobs. Someday he would become the person he wanted to be. But someday never arrived. Every goal was pushed into the future. Every opportunity was delayed. Every important decision was postponed. The truth suddenly became impossible to ignore. His life wasn't stuck because he lacked talent. It wasn't stuck because he lacked opportunities. It was stuck because he kept waiting. Ethan leaned back in his chair and looked around his apartment. The unfinished projects, the books he never finished reading, the online courses he never completed, the ideas he never acted on. Each one was evidence of a habit that had quietly controlled his life for years, the habit of postponing action. As midnight approached, Ethan continued reading. One chapter explained that successful people don't wait until they feel motivated. They act first. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. Another chapter described how small decisions shape a person's future. The author compared life to a ship crossing an ocean. A tiny adjustment in direction may seem insignificant today, but over time it leads to a completely different destination. That idea fascinated Ethan. For the first time, he realized he didn't need to completely transform his life overnight. He simply needed to change direction, a little at a time. Page after page, the book challenged the excuses he had repeated for years. And with every chapter, he felt something awakening inside him. Hope. Not the vague hope that things would magically improve, but the belief that he could improve them himself. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, Ethan finally closed the book. His eyes were tired, but his mind felt more awake than it had in years. He walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. For a long moment, he stood silently. Then he made a decision. Not a dramatic decision, not a life-changing announcement, just one simple commitment. Tomorrow morning, he would do something different. Anything, no matter how small. Because for the first time, he understood a powerful truth. A better future isn't built tomorrow, it's built today. And that small realization would soon become the foundation for an entirely new life. Chapter 4. The First Small Change. The next morning, Ethan's alarm rang at 6 a.m. Normally, he would hit the snooze button several times before finally dragging himself out of bed. but this morning felt different. For a few seconds, he stared at the ceiling. Then he remembered the book. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. The sentence echoed in his mind. His body wanted to stay in bed. His old habits wanted him to wait until another day. But instead of reaching for the snooze button, Ethan sat up. It wasn't a dramatic victory. Nobody applauded. Nobody knew. But it was the first time in years that he had acted against his excuses. After making coffee, he opened the book and reread a chapter about small habits. One idea stood out, open quote, "Never focus on changing your entire life. Focus on improving one small action," close quote. That morning, Ethan made a simple decision. He would wake up 30 minutes earlier every day. Nothing more. No impossible routines, no complicated plans, just one habit. The first few days were difficult. His body resisted. Some mornings he felt tired and unmotivated. Several times he wanted to quit. Yet he remembered another lesson from the book. Consistency matters more than intensity. So he continued. One day became 3. 3 days became a week became 2. Soon, waking up early no longer felt impossible. The habit was slowly becoming part of his life. As the days passed, Ethan noticed something surprising. Those extra 30 minutes changed more than his schedule. They changed how he felt about himself. For years, he had broken promises to himself. Every failed goal had weakened his confidence, but now, every successful morning strengthened it. Each day he woke up on time, he proved something important. He could trust himself. That realization gave him energy. Encouraged by his progress, Ethan began using those extra minutes wisely. Sometimes he read a few pages from the book. Sometimes he went for a short walk. Sometimes he simply sat quietly and planned his day. These small actions didn't seem significant, but over time, they created a sense of control he had never experienced before. Weeks later, while meeting a friend for coffee, Ethan heard something unexpected. "You seem different lately," his friend said. Ethan smiled. "Different how?" "You seem more focused, more positive." The comment surprised him. He hadn't noticed the changes because they were happening slowly, but others could see them, and that motivated him even more. One evening, as he checked off another successful day on his calendar, Ethan realized something powerful. The secret wasn't making huge changes overnight. The secret was keeping promises to himself. Small promises, simple promises, daily promises. Because every time he followed through, he became a little stronger, a little more disciplined, a little more confident. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Momentum. His life wasn't transformed yet, but it was moving in a better direction, and that direction would soon lead him to discover the true power of habits. Chapter 5. Building Better Habits. As the weeks turned into months, Ethan continued reading The Power of Daily Growth every morning. The book no longer felt like a collection of chapters. It felt like a mentor guiding him step by step. One evening, while reading after work, he came across a sentence that immediately caught his attention. Open quote, "Your habits create your future long before your future arrives." Close quote. Ethan paused and thought about it. If that statement was true, then his old habits had been creating the life he disliked, and his new habits could create a completely different future. The idea was both exciting and intimidating. The next day, Ethan took out a notebook and wrote down the habits that were helping him and the habits that were holding him back. On one side, he listed waking up early, reading daily, planning his day. On the other side, he wrote excessive social media scrolling, procrastination, staying up too late, wasting time on distractions. For the first time, he could clearly see where his time was going. The realization shocked him. He had always claimed he didn't have enough time. In reality, he had simply been spending it poorly. Determined to improve, Ethan began making small adjustments. Instead of scrolling through social media during breakfast, he read 10 pages of a book. Instead of watching random videos before bed, he prepared a plan for the next day. Instead of spending weekends doing nothing, he started learning new skills online. None of these changes felt dramatic, but together they created a powerful shift. A few weeks later, Ethan decided to add exercise to his routine. The thought of joining a gym felt overwhelming, so he started with something simple: a 20-minute walk every morning. That's all. At first, it seemed insignificant, but as the days passed, he noticed improvements. His energy increased, his focus improved, his confidence grew. One positive habit naturally led to another. Soon he was eating healthier, sleeping better, managing his time more effectively. The changes began showing in every area of his life. Friends started noticing, his co-workers noticed too. One afternoon, his manager pulled him aside. "Ethan," she said, "I've noticed you've become much more organized recently." He smiled. "Thank you. You seem more focused than ever." That simple compliment meant more than she realized. For years, Ethan had been known as someone who struggled with consistency. Now people were seeing him differently. More importantly, he was seeing himself differently. The biggest change wasn't external, it was internal. Every habit he completed became evidence that he was capable of growth. Every small victory strengthened his self-belief. One evening, while reviewing his progress, Ethan realized something remarkable. The person he wanted to become wasn't appearing all at once. He was becoming that person one habit at a time. The transformation was slow, almost invisible from day to day. But when he compared himself to the man staring into the mirror a few months earlier, the difference was undeniable. For the first time in years, he felt proud of the direction his life was taking. Yet despite all his progress, a much bigger challenge still lay ahead. Because the next lesson in the book would force Ethan to confront the one thing he had spent years avoiding. Chapter 6, Facing His Greatest Enemy. By the beginning of spring, Ethan's life looked noticeably different. He woke up early, he exercised regularly, he read every day, he managed his time better than ever before. For the first time in years, he felt productive. Yet despite all this progress, something still bothered him. Deep inside, he knew there were goals he was still avoiding. Whenever an opportunity seemed challenging, a familiar voice appeared in his mind. What if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if people judge you? The voice wasn't as loud as before, but it was still there. One evening, Ethan opened The Power of Daily Growth and began reading a chapter titled The Enemy Within. The chapter started with a sentence that immediately caught his attention. Open quote, "Most people spend their lives fighting external obstacles while ignoring the internal ones that hold them back the most." Close quote. Ethan sat quietly. The words felt uncomfortably accurate. As he continued reading, he realized something important. For years, he had blamed many things for his lack of progress. He blamed bad timing, he blamed circumstances, he blamed a lack of opportunities. Sometimes he even blamed other people. But the book challenged him to ask a difficult question. What if the biggest obstacle isn't outside you? That question stayed in his mind for days. One Saturday morning, Ethan decided to be brutally honest with himself. He grabbed a notebook and wrote at the top of the page, "What is really holding me back?" The answers came slowly. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of rejection, lack of self-belief, making excuses, avoiding discomfort. The list grew longer and longer. When he finished, he stared at the page. For the first time, he could clearly see the patterns that had controlled his life. The truth wasn't pleasant, but it was freeing. Because if these were the problems, they could be solved. That afternoon, Ethan remembered a job opportunity he had ignored weeks earlier. It was a position at a growing marketing company. The role offered better pay, greater responsibility, and opportunities for advancement. He had wanted to apply. But fear had convinced him not to. "You're not qualified enough. Other candidates are better. You'll probably get rejected." Those thoughts had stopped him before he even tried. Now he saw them differently. The real problem wasn't the job. The real problem was the story he kept telling himself. After several minutes of hesitation, Ethan opened his laptop. His heart raced. The old fear returned. But this time he refused to listen. He updated his resume, filled out the application, reviewed everything twice. Then, before he could change his mind, he clicked submit. For a moment, he simply stared at the screen. The application was gone. There was nothing more he could do. A strange feeling washed over him. Relief. Not because he knew he would get the job, but because he had finally acted despite being afraid. That evening, while walking through a nearby park, Ethan realized something powerful. Courage wasn't the absence of fear. Courage was moving forward while fear was still present. For years, he had been waiting to feel confident before taking action. Now he understood the truth. Confidence comes after action, not before it. As the sun began setting behind the Denver skyline, Ethan smiled. He didn't know whether he would get the job. He didn't know what the future would bring. But he knew one thing for certain. The person who had once allowed fear to control his decisions was slowly disappearing. And in his place, a stronger version of Ethan was beginning to emerge. The next challenge would test just how much he had grown. Chapter 7. The Opportunity He Almost Missed. 3 days after submitting his job application, Ethan tried not to think about it. At first, he checked his email every hour, then every few hours. Eventually, he forced himself to focus on his daily routine instead. Whatever happens, happens, he told himself. The application itself had already been a victory. For the first time, he had acted despite his fear. A week later, while working at his desk, his phone vibrated. An email notification appeared. His heart skipped a beat. The sender was the marketing company. For a moment he hesitated, then he opened it. The message was short. Open quote, "We are pleased to invite you for an interview." Close quote. Ethan read the sentence twice, then a third time. A smile slowly spread across his face. He had done it. The opportunity he almost ignored had become real, but excitement was quickly followed by nervousness. An interview meant facing another challenge. What if he wasn't good enough? What if they asked questions he couldn't answer? What if he embarrassed himself? The familiar doubts returned. Yet this time, something was different. Instead of running from the challenge, Ethan began preparing for it. Every evening after work, he researched the company. He practiced common interview questions. He studied the skills required for the role. He even stood in front of a mirror and rehearsed his answers. The more he prepared, the more confident he became. When interview day finally arrived, Ethan woke up early. He put on his best suit, took a deep breath, and drove to the company's headquarters. The building was larger and more impressive than he had imagined. As he entered the lobby, he felt the same nervousness that had accompanied every major step in his journey, but he also felt something new: belief. Belief that he had earned the right to be there. Belief that preparation would help him succeed. Belief that even if things didn't go perfectly, he would learn from the experience. The interview lasted nearly an hour. The hiring manager asked questions about his skills, goals, and experiences. At times, Ethan felt nervous. At times, he stumbled slightly, but he remained calm and honest. Most importantly, he spoke with confidence, not because he knew everything, but because he had spent months building trust in himself. When the interview ended, the manager smiled. "Thank you for coming, Ethan." "Thank you for the opportunity," Ethan replied. As he walked back to his car, he felt proud. Regardless of the outcome, he had given his best effort. That evening, he opened The Power of Daily Growth and came across another sentence that felt perfectly timed. Open quote, "Success is not getting every opportunity. Success is becoming the person capable of handling opportunities." Close quote. Ethan stared at those words. For years, he had wanted better opportunities. Now he understood something important. Opportunities had always existed. The real challenge was becoming ready for them. A few days later, another email arrived. This time, the subject line read, "Job offer." His hands trembled as he opened it. The company had selected him. Ethan sat silently for several moments. The promotion in income was significant. The career growth potential was exciting. But the greatest reward wasn't the job itself. It was proof. Proof that personal growth produces real-world results. Proof that small habits can lead to big opportunities. Proof that changing yourself can change your future. As he looked out the window that night, Ethan remembered the young man who had stared into a mirror months earlier, feeling lost and directionless. That version of himself would hardly recognize the person he was becoming. And although he didn't know it yet, this new opportunity was only the beginning. Because the lessons he had learned were about to impact not only his life, but the lives of many others as well. Chapter 8. Sharing what he learned. The new job changed many things in Ethan's life. He was earning more money, learning valuable skills, and gaining confidence with every passing month. His managers trusted him with important projects, and his co-workers respected his work ethic. But the biggest change wasn't happening at the office. It was happening inside him. For the first time, Ethan felt genuinely excited about the future. One afternoon, while having lunch with an old friend named Ryan, the conversation turned toward success. "Ethan, I have to ask," Ryan said. "What happened to you?" Ethan laughed. "What do you mean?" "A year ago, you were constantly frustrated and complaining about life. Now you're focused, confident, and actually enjoying what you do. What changed?" For a moment, Ethan thought about how to answer. Then he smiled. "It started with a book." Ryan looked surprised. "A book?" "Not just reading it," Ethan explained, "applying it." Over the next hour, Ethan shared the lessons that had transformed his life. The importance of small habits, taking responsibility, acting despite fear, improving every day. Ryan listened carefully. Before leaving, he said something Ethan would never forget. "You know, I needed to hear that." That conversation planted a seed. A few days later, Ethan posted a short message on social media. It wasn't anything extraordinary, just a simple lesson he had learned. Open quote. "The life you want is often hidden behind the habits you're avoiding." Close quote. To his surprise, hundreds of people responded. Many shared their own struggles. Others thanked him for the reminder. Some even asked for more advice. Encouraged by the response, Ethan began posting regularly. Every week he shared lessons from his personal growth journey. He wrote about discipline, consistency, mindset, overcoming fear. The messages weren't perfect. They weren't professionally written. They were simply honest, and people connected with that honesty. Months later, Ethan started a small online newsletter called One Step Forward. Its purpose was simple: help people make small improvements every day. The newsletter grew slowly at first. A few subscribers became dozens. Dozens became hundreds. Then hundreds became thousands. People from different cities and countries began reading his content. Many sent messages describing how the lessons were helping them improve their own lives. One email stood out. It came from a college student named Sophia. She wrote, open quote, "I was struggling with anxiety and self-doubt. Your story helped me stop waiting for confidence and start taking action. Thank you." Close quote. Ethan read the message several times. It reminded him of how lost he had once felt. The realization was powerful. His journey was no longer just about personal success. It was helping others find their own path. Soon, local organizations invited him to speak at workshops and community events. At first, the idea terrified him. Standing in front of an audience felt far outside his comfort zone. But then he remembered one of the most important lessons from the book. Growth happens outside comfort zones, so he accepted. At his first workshop, he shared his story honestly. The failures, the excuses, the turning point, the small habits that changed everything. The audience listened carefully. When the session ended, people lined up to thank him. Several said the same thing. "Your story feels like my story." That was when Ethan truly understood something important. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with transformation. And the lessons that had once changed one struggling young man were now beginning to change countless others. The ripple effect had begun. And soon, Ethan would discover just how far that ripple could reach. Chapter 9. The Ripple Effect. Over the next few years, Ethan's life continued to grow in ways he never could have imagined. His career flourished. His newsletter, One Step Forward, attracted tens of thousands of readers. His workshops became larger. His online audience expanded across different countries. Yet despite all the success, Ethan never forgot the lesson that started everything. Small actions create big outcomes. One autumn afternoon, Ethan was invited to speak at a personal development conference in Chicago. More than 1,000 people attended the event. As he walked through the conference hall after his presentation, a young man approached him. He looked nervous. "Ethan, do you have a minute?" he asked. "Of course," Ethan replied. The young man introduced himself as Jacob Miller. Then he shared a story that left Ethan speechless. 2 years earlier, Jacob had been struggling with depression, low confidence, and a lack of direction. One evening, while scrolling through social media, he came across one of Ethan's posts. The message was simple. Open quote, "Don't focus on changing your entire life. Focus on improving today." Close quote. For some reason, those words stayed with him. The next day, Jacob made one small improvement, then another, then another. Over time, his habits changed, his mindset improved, his confidence returned. Eventually, he started his own business. Now, he was helping other young people overcome similar challenges. As Jacob finished speaking, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You'll probably never know how much that message changed my life," he said. For a moment, Ethan couldn't find the words to respond, because he suddenly understood something remarkable. The advice that had changed Jacob's life had originally come from the book. The book had changed Ethan. Ethan had shared the lessons. Those lessons had changed Jacob. And now Jacob was helping others. The impact was multiplying, like ripples spreading across a lake. One small action had created another, then another, then another. The chain reaction continued. That evening, while sitting alone in his hotel room, Ethan reflected on the conversation. Years earlier, he had believed success was about achieving personal goals, making more money, building a better career, gaining confidence. Now he understood that true success was much bigger. True success was creating positive impact. It was helping others discover their potential. It was sharing lessons that could improve lives. Over the following months, stories like Jacob's became more common. Teachers wrote to him. Entrepreneurs wrote to him. Students wrote to him. Parents wrote to him. Many shared similar experiences. A single idea had inspired a small action. A small action had created a meaningful change. The pattern repeated again and again. One evening, while reading through dozens of messages from readers, Ethan came across a question. Open quote, "What is the most important lesson you've learned?" Close quote. He thought carefully before answering. Finally, he typed, open quote, "Never underestimate the power of one positive decision. You may think it's small today, but it could change the course of your entire future." Close quote. After sending the reply, he smiled, because his own life was proof of that truth. A single book, a single sentence, a single decision to take action. That was all it had taken to start a transformation. And now the effects of that transformation were reaching people he would never even meet. The ripple effect had become far greater than he ever imagined, but the most important realization was still waiting for him. A realization that would finally reveal the true power of the forgotten book. Chapter 10. The True Power of One Book. 10 years after finding the old book in his grandfather's cabin, Ethan returned to Pine Creek. The cabin looked much the same as it had on the day he first discovered the power of daily growth. The wooden walls had aged. The pine trees surrounding the property had grown taller. The air still carried the same peaceful silence he remembered from childhood. As Ethan stepped onto the porch, memories flooded back. He remembered the directionless young man he had once been, the endless excuses, the wasted days, the frustration of watching life pass by while doing nothing to change it. Most of all, he remembered opening that worn-out book for the very first time. So much had happened since then. His career had transformed. His confidence had grown. His work had inspired thousands of people. Yet standing there, Ethan realized something important. The book itself had not changed his life. The words alone had not created success. The lessons had not magically solved his problems. He had, because he chose to act. Carrying that thought, Ethan walked into the cabin and climbed the stairs to the attic. The old wooden chest was still there. Slowly he opened it. Inside lay the same book. Its cover was even more worn now. The pages were fragile, the corners were bent, yet it remained one of the most valuable possessions he owned. He carefully opened it. The familiar note from his grandfather appeared on the first page. Open quote, "To whoever reads this, your life can change faster than you think, but first you must change yourself." Close quote. Years earlier, those words had seemed inspiring. Now they felt profoundly true. As Ethan turned the pages, he noticed the notes he had written in the margins over the years. Ideas, goals, reflections, lessons learned through experience. The book had become a record of his transformation. Then he reached the sentence that had started everything. Open quote, "Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow." Close quote. A smile appeared on his face. That one sentence had changed the direction of his life. Not because it contained magic, but because he had decided to believe it, and more importantly, because he had acted on it. For several minutes, Ethan sat quietly by the attic window, looking out over the forest. The late afternoon sunlight filtered through the trees. The moment felt peaceful, complete. He thought about all the people whose lives had been touched by the lessons he had shared. The students, the entrepreneurs, the teachers, the parents, the dreamers who had stopped waiting and started taking action. Many of them would never know about the old book, Many would never know about his grandfather, yet the impact continued spreading, and that was the beauty of it. Good ideas never truly stop. When they are shared and applied, they move from one life to another. Before leaving, Ethan carefully placed the book back into the wooden chest. Then he closed the lid. As he walked toward the door, he paused for one final look around the cabin. Years ago, he had entered this place feeling lost. Today, he was leaving with clarity. He finally understood the greatest lesson the book had taught him. Knowledge has no power until it becomes action. Thousands of people read books every year. Thousands attend seminars. Thousands watch motivational videos. Yet only a small percentage transform their lives. Why? Because learning is only the beginning. Action is what creates change. As Ethan stepped outside into the evening sunlight, he felt grateful. Not because one book had given him success, but because one book had inspired him to take responsibility for his future. And that decision had changed everything. The young man who once drifted through life without purpose had become someone who created purpose. The man who once waited for opportunities had learned how to create them. And it had all begun with a forgotten book hidden inside an old wooden chest. Moral of the story: one book can change your thinking. One idea can change your direction. One decision can change your life. But transformation only happens when knowledge is followed by action. Read, learn, grow, but most importantly, act.